Welcome back for another deep dive. And today we're tackling something that's been creating a lot of buzz, enterprise generative AI. We're going beyond just, the hype and the headlines and really digging into how businesses are actually using this technology, like to design new products,
Yeah.
create marketing campaigns, even catch fraudsters, things like that. Our sources today are really comprehensive, covering both like the basic concepts and some really cool case studies.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. What we're seeing is this really fascinating shift from AI simply, analyzing existing data to AI actually creating new things. It's almost like AI is developing its own imagination.
That is a great way to put it. Yeah, our sources really emphasize that this is a key difference between generative AI and the kind of AI we've been seeing, in the past. It's not just about recognizing patterns anymore. It's about generating something new entirely, right?
Absolutely. It's a fundamental shift. If traditional AI was like a detective, solving a case based on the evidence, generative AI is more like an artist creating a masterpiece from scratch.
That's such a vivid analogy.
And it's interesting, the concept of generative AI itself has actually been around for quite a while. But as our sources point out, the real breakthroughs have come much more recently, thanks to all the progress we've seen in deep learning.
And speaking of breakthroughs, we keep hearing all these terms like GANs, VAEs, transformers. Can you break those down for us? What are those exactly?
Ah, yes, those are the superstars of the generative AI world. Think of them like different tools in an artist's toolbox, each with its own unique capabilities. So first, you have GANs, or generative adversarial networks. These are really interesting. It's like a constant competition between two AI
Oh, it's
systems.
interesting.
Yeah, one AI tries to create something new, let's say an image, and the other AI tries to detect whether that image is real or fake. Through this back and forth, they both get better and better.
So they kind of push each other to improve.
Precisely. It's like a constant game of one-upmanship that results in some really impressive outputs. Then you have VAEs, which stands for variational autoencoders. These are more like skilled sculptors. They take in a massive amount of data, and they learn to extract the essence of what makes that data unique.
Okay, so they're like learning the underlying structure.
Yeah. And then they use that knowledge to mold and shape new creations. They're really good at generating variations of existing things. Like you could use them to come up with new product designs based on, say, your most successful products from the past.
That makes a lot of sense. So what about transformers? Where do those fit in?
Transformers, these are the masters of language, the real wordsmiths. If you think of JANs as visual artists and VAEs as sculptors, then transformers are like expert linguists who can understand and generate human-like text.
Really? That sounds incredibly powerful.
It is. They're the technology behind a lot of the chatbots we interact with these days. And they're also crucial for those really advanced language models like, GPT-3.
Right, right. We hear about that one all the time. So it sounds like each of these model types has its own unique strengths, and they're all contributing to this generative AI revolution we keep hearing about.
Exactly. And as these models continue to evolve, their impact on how businesses operate is becoming impossible to ignore.
It sounds like there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Well, our sources are packed with examples of how businesses are using generative AI to completely transform their operations, really reimagine how they do things.
Yeah, it's really incredible to see what's already happening out there.
So let's dig into some of those examples. Where are we seeing the biggest changes, the most innovative applications?
Well, one area that's seeing a huge impact is product development. Companies are using generative AI to come up with completely new product designs, designs that, frankly, humans might never have even imagined.
That's incredible.
For instance, in the fashion industry, we're seeing AI being used to design clothes based on real-time trend analysis, what's hot, what's not.
Oh, so it's helping fashion brands stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. And in the automotive world, companies like BMW are using AI to simulate vehicle designs, optimizing those designs for things like aerodynamics, fuel efficiency, things like that.
So it's almost like AI is becoming a digital brainstorming partner, helping companies push the boundaries of what's possible.
That's a great way to think about it. It's not just about creating new products, though. Generative AI is also revolutionizing how businesses approach marketing and customer service.
Oh, really? I'm curious to hear more about that.
For example, companies are using AI to create much more personalized marketing campaigns. They can tailor their messages to individual customers based on, their preferences, their past behavior, all sorts of data points.
That sounds like a huge step forward from the kind of generic ads we're all used to seeing.
It is. And it's proving to be very effective. Like Coca-Cola, for instance, they used AI to create personalized ads based on customer data, and they saw a 30% increase in engagement compared to their previous campaigns.
Wow, that's a significant jump. It really highlights how generative AI can help companies cut through the clutter and make their marketing more effective by truly connecting with individuals on a personal level.
Precisely. It's about making marketing more relevant and engaging for everyone involved. And speaking of engaging, we're also seeing generative AI really change the game in customer service.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, AI-powered chatbots are becoming increasingly sophisticated to the point where they can handle a lot of those routine customer inquiries. This frees up human agents to focus on the more complex issues that really require, that human touch.
That makes a lot of sense. Automating those routine tasks can lead to faster, more efficient service for everyone.
Exactly. And it allows companies to make the most of their human resources by having their agents focus on the issues where they can really make a difference.
So it's not about replacing humans, it's about augmenting their capabilities.
Absolutely. It's about using AI to empower humans to do what they do best. And this goes beyond just customer-facing interactions, too. We're seeing generative AI being used to optimize all sorts of behind-the-scenes operations as well.
I see. Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Take supply chain management, for example. This is a really complex area where even small improvements can have a huge impact on a company's bottom line. Companies like Nike are using AI to optimize their logistics and predict demand more accurately.
So AI is like a crystal ball for the supply chain, helping companies see what's coming and make better decisions.
That's a great way to think about it. It's helping companies be more efficient, reduce waste, and ultimately deliver a better experience for their customers.
That's really impressive.
And we can't forget about the financial services industry. AI is playing a huge role there as well. It's being used to detect fraud, assess risk, even personalize financial advice.
That sounds like some pretty high-stakes stuff.
It is. For example, JP Morgan Chase, they're using AI to analyze transactions in real time, flagging any potentially fraudulent activity with incredible accuracy.
That's really important as more and more of our financial lives move online.
Absolutely. This kind of technology is crucial for protecting both the banks and their customers from financial losses.
So it's really about using AI to create a safer and more secure financial system.
Exactly. It's about leveraging AI to build trust and protect people's hard-earned money.
It's amazing how many different ways generative AI is being applied. From designing products to streamlining customer service to catching fraudsters, it seems like the possibilities are endless.
They really are. And as we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive, the potential of generative AI goes even further. We'll be discussing the future of this technology, the emerging trends, and the exciting possibilities that lie ahead.
I'm looking forward to it. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and talk about how businesses can actually implement generative AI. It sounds like a pretty complex undertaking.
You're right, it can be. But it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Our sources outline a really practical, strategic approach that any business can follow.
Okay, great. Let's break it down. What's the first step companies should take if they're looking to implement generative AI?
Well, the most important thing is to start with a crystal clear understanding of your business needs and your goals. Don't just adopt AI because it's the trendy thing to do.
Right. It has to have a purpose.
You need to identify those specific areas where generative AI can truly provide value, where it can make a real difference to your bottom line or, how you serve your customers.
So it's all about finding the right use cases.
Exactly. If you're in the fashion industry, you might use generative AI to design new clothing lines. If you're a bank, you might focus on fraud detection. It all depends on what makes sense for your business.
Makes sense. So once you've identified those key areas, what's next?
Well, next comes building the right team. You'll need data scientists who understand the algorithms, you'll need engineers who can build and deploy the systems, and you'll need domain experts who can ensure that the solutions you're developing are relevant to your specific industry.
It sounds like a real multidisciplinary effort is key here.
Absolutely. You need people who can speak different languages, so to speak, and work together effectively. And you also need to think about training. Your existing employees are a valuable asset, and investing in upskilling them so they can work effectively alongside AI. That's crucial.
So it's about empowering your employees, not replacing them.
Exactly. AI should be seen as a tool to augment human capabilities, not eliminate jobs altogether. And of course, we can't forget about data. Data is the fuel that powers AI, so having a solid data management strategy is absolutely essential.
Can you expand on that a bit? Why is data management so important?
Sure, imagine you're a healthcare company using generative AI to develop new drugs. If your training data is biased or incomplete, it could lead to inaccurate predictions and potentially even harmful outcomes. So, data quality is paramount.
That's a really good point. So it sounds like there are a lot of moving parts to consider when implementing generative AI.
There are, but it's definitely achievable, especially if you take a strategic approach and have the right expertise on your team. And the potential rewards are significant, as we've seen from those real-world examples we discussed earlier.
Okay, well, let's shift gears a bit now and look ahead. Our sources also talk about the future of generative AI and some of the emerging trends we should be watching.
Yeah, the future is really exciting. There are a lot of promising developments on the horizon.
So what are some of the key trends that have you particularly excited?
Well, one area that's really fascinating is the evolution of language models. We've all seen how incredible GPT-3 is, but GPT-4 and beyond promise to be even more sophisticated.
Wow, I can only imagine.
Think about AI that can write compelling marketing copy, create realistic dialogue for chatbots, maybe even generate entire articles or scripts. The possibilities are mind-blowing.
That does sound pretty mind-blowing. What other advancements are on the horizon?
Another trend to watch is the rise of diffusion models. These are revolutionizing image generation. They work by gradually refining random noise into a coherent image.
So it's like taking a blurry, static image and slowly bringing it into focus to reveal a masterpiece.
Exactly. It's a completely different approach to image generation, and it's allowing us to create incredibly realistic and detailed visuals that were previously impossible.
This all sounds incredibly futuristic.
It is, and it's happening right now. These models are already being used to create some really stunning images, and they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the visual realm.
Are there any other trends that have you particularly excited?
One more I'd highlight is neural rendering. This is all about blurring the lines between AI and computer graphics, using AI to create incredibly lifelike visuals for video games, movies, even virtual reality experiences.
So imagine stepping into a virtual world that looks and feels indistinguishable from reality.
Exactly. It sounds like science fiction, but it's becoming more and more realistic.
It really does sound like science fiction is becoming reality right before our eyes.
It is, and that's what makes the future of generative AI so exciting. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible, and the next few years are going to bring about some truly groundbreaking advancements.
It's clear that generative AI is a game changer. But as with any powerful technology, there are also important considerations to keep in mind, right?
Absolutely. We need to think about the ethical implications, the potential impact on society, and the future of work.
It's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it responsibly.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to have these conversations now, while we're still in the early stages of this technological revolution.
Well, our sources don't just talk about the abstract possibilities of generative AI. They also feature some really compelling real-world examples of how companies are already using this technology to achieve remarkable results. So let's dive into those real-world examples. I'm really curious to see how companies are putting generative AI into action.
Yeah, there are some really fascinating case studies out there. Companies are doing some incredibly innovative things with this technology.
Great. Well, let's start with one of those case studies. What company comes to mind when you think of innovative applications of generative AI?
Well, one that immediately jumps out is Coca-Cola. They're always at the forefront of marketing, and they've really embraced generative AI to personalize their advertising campaigns.
Interesting. Tell me more.
So they used AI to analyze consumer data and tailor their messaging to different audience segments. Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, they're using AI to connect with consumers on a much more individual level.
That's smart. So they're moving away from those generic ads we all try to ignore.
Exactly, and the results speak for themselves. They saw a 30% boost in engagement compared to their previous campaigns.
Wow, that's significant. It really shows how effective personalized marketing can be.
It does. It highlights how generative AI can help companies cut through the noise and create marketing that truly resonates with their target audience.
That's a great takeaway. What other companies are using generative AI in innovative ways?
Well, another great example is BMW. They're using generative AI in their design process, exploring a much wider range of possibilities than they could before.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. They're using AI to optimize for aerodynamics, fuel efficiency, even safety.
So AI is helping them design cars that are not only stylish, but also more efficient and safer.
Precisely. They're even using AI simulations to conduct virtual crash tests, which allows them to identify and address potential safety issues very early in the design process.
That's amazing.
It saves them time and money and also allows them to push the boundaries of safety innovation.
Wow, it sounds like generative AI is giving them a real competitive edge.
It is, and it's a great example of how this technology can be applied to solve real-world problems in really creative ways.
That's a great point. What other industries are being transformed by this technology?
The beauty industry is another one. Sephora, for example, is using generative AI to create personalized customer experiences. They've developed this really cool virtual makeup artist powered by AI, which allows customers to try on different products virtually and see how they would look on their own skin tones.
I've seen that. It's really impressive how realistic it looks.
It is. And it's a great example of how AI can be used to enhance customer satisfaction,
Yeah,
especially for online shoppers who can't physical test products before buying them.
absolutely.
Uh,
What other success stories come to mind?
Let's talk about finance. JP Morgan Chase is using generative AI to tackle fraud detection.
That's a huge issue these days.
It is, and their AI algorithms are analyzing transactions in real time, flagging any suspicious activity with incredible speed and accuracy.
That sounds like a really important application of AI.
It is. It helps JP Morgan Chase protect both the bank and its customers from financial losses.
So it's really about safeguarding our financial system.
Precisely. It's about leveraging the power of AI to build trust and protect people's hard-earned money.
It's amazing how diverse the applications of generative AI are.
It really is. It's being used in everything from designing clothes to catching fraudsters to creating personalized customer experiences.
It's truly remarkable.
And for our final case study, let's look at Nike. They're known for their incredibly efficient supply chain management, and they've integrated AI into their operations to predict demand with remarkable accuracy.
Wow, so AI is helping them optimize their entire supply chain?
It is. It allows them to optimize production, reduce waste, and ensure that they have the right products available at the right time.
That's a really smart approach.
It is, and it's a great example of how generative AI can be used to create a more sustainable and efficient business model.
So it's not just about profits. It's about using AI to create a better future for everyone.
Exactly. It's about using AI to make a positive impact on the world.
Well, these case studies are really inspiring. They really paint a vivid picture of how generative AI is already reshaping the business landscape.
I agree. And what excites me the most is how this technology is empowering businesses to push their creative boundaries and solve real-world problems in ways we never thought possible.
It's been an incredible deep dive into the world of enterprise generative AI. I feel like I've learned so much about not just what this technology is, but also its immense potential to transform industries and our lives.
Me too. And to our listeners, we encourage you to check out the source material as well so you can delve deeper into any of the areas that sparked your interest.
Right, and remember, the world of generative AI is constantly evolving. So stay curious and keep exploring. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey into the world of enterprise generative AI. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Yeah, it can be a bit daunting, right? But our sources actually lay out a really strategic approach, something that any business can follow to make this whole process a lot more manageable.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So let's break it down into steps. What's the first thing companies should be thinking about when it comes to implementing generative AI?
Well, the most important thing, really, is to start with a really clear understanding of what your business needs are and you know what your goals are. Don't just jump on the AI bandwagon just because it's the trendy thing to do, right?
It's got to be strategic.
Exactly. You need to really pinpoint those areas, those specific areas where generative AI can truly deliver value, where it can have a real impact, on your bottom line or how you serve your customers.
So it's all about finding the right use cases for your specific business.
Exactly. So for instance, if you're in the fashion industry, you might explore using generative AI to design new clothing lines. But if you're a bank, you might focus on fraud detection. It all depends on what makes sense for your particular company.
That makes sense. So once you've identified those key areas where you want to apply generative AI, what's the next step?
Well, the next step is putting together the right team. You're going to need data scientists who really understand the algorithms and how they work. You're going to need engineers who can actually build and deploy the systems. And critically, you're going to need domain experts, people who can ensure that the solutions you're developing are actually relevant to your specific industry.
So it sounds like a multidisciplinary team is really key here.
It really is. You need people who can, speak different languages, so to speak, and bring their different perspectives to the table to collaborate effectively. And of course, you can't forget about your existing employees. They're a valuable asset and, investing in upskilling them so they can work effectively alongside AI. That's absolutely crucial.
So it's about empowering your employees, not replacing them, right?
Absolutely. That's a really important point. AI should be seen as a tool to enhance human capabilities, not to eliminate jobs. It's about working together.
Right. Making the pie bigger for everyone.
Exactly. And speaking of crucial ingredients, we can't forget about data. Data is the fuel that powers AI. So having a solid data management strategy in place is absolutely essential.
I was going to say that's got to be a big part of it. Why is data management so important when it comes to AI?
Well, let me give you an example. Imagine you're a healthcare company and you're using generative AI to try to develop new drugs. If your training data is biased or incomplete, that could lead to some really inaccurate predictions and potentially, harmful outcomes. So data quality is paramount. It really is the foundation of everything.
That's a really good point. So it sounds like there are a lot of moving parts to consider when you're trying to implement generative AI.
There are, but it's definitely achievable. If you take that strategic approach we talked about and,
Yeah.
you assemble the right team with the right expertise, and the potential rewards are huge, as we've seen from those real-world examples we discussed.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit now and look ahead. Our sources also touch on the future of generative AI and some of the exciting trends that are emerging.
Yeah, the future's really fascinating. There's so much happening in this space right now.
So what are some of the key trends that have you particularly excited about the future of generative AI?
Well, one area that I find really intriguing is the evolution of language models. We've all seen what GPT-3 can do, and it's pretty amazing. But GPT-4 and beyond promise to be even more sophisticated.
Wow, it's hard to even imagine what that would look like.
I know, right? But think about AI that can write really compelling marketing copy, create super realistic dialogue for chatbots, maybe even generate entire articles or, even scripts. The possibilities are mind-blowing.
That sounds pretty incredible.
Yeah.
What other advancements are on the horizon?
Another trend to watch is the rise of what are called diffusion models. These are really changing the game when it comes to image generation. They work in this really interesting way by gradually refining random noise into a coherent image.
So it's like taking a blurry static image and slowly bringing it into focus to reveal a masterpiece.
That's a great analogy. It's a completely different approach to image generation than what we've seen before.
Yeah.
And it's allowing us to create incredibly realistic and detailed visuals that were just impossible to generate previously.
This all sounds so futuristic.
It is, but it's happening now. These models are already being used to create some truly stunning images. They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the visual realm.
Are there any other trends that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, one more I'd highlight is neural rendering. This is all about blurring the lines between AI and computer graphics and using AI to create these hyper-realistic visuals for, things like video games, movies, and even VR experiences.
So imagine stepping into a virtual world that looks and feels completely indistinguishable from reality.
Exactly. It's like something out of science fiction, but it's becoming more and more realistic every day.
It really does sound like science fiction is becoming reality right before our eyes.
Yeah. It really does, and that's what makes this whole field so exciting. We're really just scratching the surface of what's possible, and I think the next few years are going to bring some truly groundbreaking advancements.
It's clear that generative AI is a game changer. But as with any powerful technology, there are also some important considerations to keep in mind, right?
Absolutely. We need to be thinking about the ethical implications, the potential impact on society, the future of work, all of that.
It's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it responsibly.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's so important to have these conversations now, while we're still relatively early in this technological revolution.
Well, our sources don't just talk about the abstract possibilities of generative AI. They also highlight some really compelling real-world examples of how companies are already using this technology to achieve some pretty remarkable results. So let's dive into those real-world examples. I'm really curious to see how companies are actually putting generative AI into action.
Yeah, there are a ton. Companies are getting really creative with how they're using this technology.
Well, let's hear about some of them. Which one really stands out to you?
Well, Coca-Cola is a great example, They're always pushing the boundaries of marketing, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And they've been using generative AI to personalize their ad campaigns.
Oh, interesting. How did that work?
So they take all this consumer data And they use AI to analyze it and then create different versions of their ads tailored to different audience segments?
So instead of one generic ad for everyone, they're creating ads that are more likely to resonate with each specific person.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about making those ads more relevant and engaging.
That's smart. And did it work?
It did. They saw a 30% increase in engagement compared to their old campaigns.
Wow, that's a huge improvement. I guess that really shows the power of personalization.
It really does. And it highlights how generative AI can help companies break through all the clutter and actually connect with people on a more individual level.
That's a great takeaway. What other companies are doing cool things with generative AI?
Well, let's look at BMW. They're using it in their design process to explore a much wider range of possibilities than they could with traditional methods.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
So they're using AI to optimize their designs for things like aerodynamics and fuel efficiency and even safety.
So they're designing cars that are not only stylish, but also more efficient and safer.
Exactly. They're even using AI simulations to conduct those virtual crash tests.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and it allows them to identify potential safety issues really early on in the process, which saves them time and money and helps them push the boundaries of safety innovation.
Wow, that's really impressive. It sounds like they're getting a real competitive edge by embracing this technology.
They are, and it's a great example of how you can apply generative AI to solve real-world problems in these really creative ways.
That's a great point. What other industries are being transformed by this technology?
Well, the beauty industry is another interesting one. Sephora, for example, is using generative AI to create these really cool, personalized customer experiences.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some of that.
Yeah, they've developed this virtual makeup artist powered by AI that lets customers try on different products virtually and see how they would look on their own skin tone.
That's super helpful, especially for online shoppers, right?
Absolutely. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of buying makeup online, and it really helps enhance customer satisfaction.
Makes sense. Any other success stories you want to share?
Let's talk about finance. JP Morgan Chase is using generative AI to fight fraud.
Well, that's a big one.
It is, and their AI algorithms are super sophisticated. They can analyze transactions in real time and flag any suspicious activity right away.
Wow, so it's like having an AI bodyguard for your bank account.
Exactly. And this technology is really crucial for protecting both the banks and their customers from financial losses.
So it's really about safeguarding our entire financial system.
Precisely. It's about using AI to build trust and protect people's money.
That's great. Any other examples you want to highlight?
Yeah, let's finish with Nike. They're known for having a really efficient supply chain, and they've been using AI to optimize it even further.
Oh, cool. How so?
Well, they use AI to predict demand with incredible accuracy, which allows them to optimize production, reduce waste, and just make sure they have the right products in the right place at the right time.
So they're using AI to create a more sustainable and efficient business.
Exactly. And it's a great example of how this technology can be applied to improve not just profits, but also, the overall impact on the world.
It's inspiring to see so many companies using this technology in such positive ways.
I agree. And I think this is just the beginning. There's so much more to come, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for generative AI.
This has been an awesome deep dive. I feel like I have a much better understanding now of not just what generative AI is, but also like the incredible potential it has to transform businesses and our lives.
Me too. And to our listeners, we really encourage you to check out the source material yourself and dive deeper into any of these topics that piqued your interest.
Right. And remember, the world of AI is constantly evolving. So stay curious, keep learning, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one pioneering the next big breakthrough in generative AI. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of enterprise generative AI. Until next time, keep exploring.